Hey everyone, this is Olay from Laddering Your Success, and you're listening to the LYS Podcast.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome one and all to Steps, the online mentoring podcast powered by Laddering Your Success. I'm Olay Sharanki, co-founder of Laddering Your Success, and I'm honored to be joined by my fellow co-founder and LYS creator, Festus and Olay. Festus, how you doing?
What's up, good people? I didn't even let them get it out all the way. Y'all who be listening. Yeah, I'm excited today. I'm refreshed a little bit, but I know that the next couple of weeks are going to be a tornado. But yeah, most stuff. It's good. It's good to be here. It's good to see y'all again. Yeah. We in this thing.
Absolutely. And we're blessed to be joined once again by the future Doctor of Education, Jamark Crawford. Jamark, how you doing today, bud?
Hey man, happy to be here with you guys.
So happy to have you as always. Today's topic, we're going to be doing our final episode over how does our life and struggle affect our parenting. So for the last 2 weeks, we've been going over the 4 different parenting types and what can happen to us as young people to affect us when we're older as parents, right? And so for those of you who are just listening to us for the first time, first of all, welcome. And let's quickly go over the 4 different parenting types. We have uninvolved or not present. That's a parenting style. We have the permissive or indulgent parenting type. This is the parent who, the kid says, I want to be a dog. And the parent says, absolutely, you can be whatever you want. So there's not a lot of realistic expectations or just a lot of realism that's introduced to the child. And then you have the authoritative parenting style. Authoritative parenting style is one that I think most parents would wish to be in. Let me say that because it seems to be the most logical of the parenting styles in the terms of it's the one where it allows you and your child to critically think together, or it's the one that brings about the most critical thinking. And then, of course, you have the one that we're going to be going over in depth today, which is the authoritarian or disciplinarian. And we're going to be going into those styles and into that style and what makes people have that type of parenting style. So real quick, what I want to do is I want to go over the authoritative parenting style real quick. We went over it last week, but I just want to go over it again. When it comes to personal values and priorities, there's a balance between affection and discipline, right? Parents who value both nurturing and setting boundaries strive for a balanced approach, providing love and support while establishing clear expectations and enforcing reasonable consequences. There's an emphasis on open communication. Authoritative parents prioritize open and honest communication with their children, encouraging discussion, negotiation, and problem solving to foster cooperation and understanding. And a belief in child development. Parents who understand the importance of fostering independence and responsibility in their children may adopt an authoritative style, aiming to equip them with the skills and guidance needed for healthy development. When it comes to parenting knowledge and skills, there is an exposure to positive parenting methods. So parents who have access to resources, professional guidance, or professional experiences with positive parenting strategies may be more likely to adopt an authoritative approach. There's confidence in their parenting abilities. Parents who feel confident in their communication and discipline skills may be more comfortable setting clear expectations and boundaries, which are key aspects of the authoritative style. There's an emphasis on long-term goals. Authoritative parents often focus on the long-term well-being and development of their children, prioritizing nurturing and guidance over immediate obedience or control. In regards to external influences and circumstances, positive role models are key here. Observing or having positive experiences with parents or other caregivers who adopted an authoritative style can influence individuals to embrace similar approaches in their own parenting journey. Support from community or professionals. Access to supportive communities, educational programs, or guidance from professionals specializing in positive parenting methods can equip individuals with the knowledge and skills necessary for effective authoritative parenting. Last one is I was going to say an oldie but a goodie, but it's cultural expectations. Cultural norms and societal expectations around child rearing practices can play a role in shaping parenting lives. Some cultures may favor a more authoritative approach that emphasizes balance and open communication. All right. Okay, so I did have one quick point to make in regards to the authoritative, and that was when it talked about conscious effort and continuous learning for the authoritative parent. When I thought about conscious effort and continuous learning, I thought about those rappers, in the 90s. There was a huge influx of like a lot of rappers that were like very conscious. So they used to talk about conscious rap, right? And so I was texting with a friend yesterday, and he made the joke that like, yeah, those are the rappers that be rapping about your pineal gland. You know what I mean? And it made me laugh. And so, that's what I thought about. And I always thought about my parents, and this goes for a lot of, we say immigrant parents, but sometimes even though you live in the United States, you can live in such harsh conditions. It almost does feel like you're living in a third world country or in another country. And so I always go back and think about my parents and their ability to take with them the things that they learned from their culture and how they slowly implemented some of the things and some of the ideas they learned while they were in America. And I'll give you a quick example. My dad played a lot of KHCB. So we're in Houston, Texas, and KHCB is I was going to say the conservative Christian radio, but it's a Christian radio station out here. And I remember when he would pick me up from school or daycare, they would always have this show called Big John and Sparky that would be playing on the radio, and it was real cool. It was like a radio show, so it was like puppets. Come to find out, that show Big John and Sparky was on in like the 50s.
Wow.
But even as a kid, I loved it. It was just a great show, and it taught about the Bible, and it taught about like just lessons in life and all these cool things. And then I remember a little bit older, as I got into high school, he would still listen to that same station, and they would be doing a show called Focus on the Family. That's James Dobson, if I'm not mistaken, or at least Dobson. I remember being the last.
I think it's just James Dobbs.
James Dobbs. Okay, sorry, thanks.
I think it's James Dobbs. Yeah.
James Dobbs. Yeah. So, and they would talk about a lot of pressing issues in families, right? And they would talk about it from a Christian standpoint, and I thought that was really cool. And it was cool because we didn't have a lot of openness in our family. We couldn't have those conversations, but shows like that showed me, right, what those things could look like. And I think, you don't even realize it at the time, but parents kind of doing those things, or, there's no perfect parent. They're learning every single day. You can read all the books, you can watch all the videos, all the audio books, you can do everything. There's still no perfect parent, right? And so this is one of those things that I thought about in regards to the authoritative style. There's a lot of pressure, especially today more than before. And so just thinking about how we're slowly able to take some of the traumas and the things we've dealt with and use them to help us as we become parents, to help our kids.
Yeah, and I think just on that note, I think that there's this kind of saying that there's no handbook for raising children. I kind of agree with that, and I disagree with it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why. Even if they had a handbook, you wouldn't have time to read it, because raising kids is such a fast ordeal, and kind of being the LYS team member with 2 kids, it's like, hey man, you're learning as you go. And I remember when we had just one, and the doctor gave us literally the handbook on like pediatrics. It's a thick book on like, it's year 0 to 1, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, you flip through a couple pages, and then you're like, okay, I got too much stuff I'm dealing with, And so I would say this, with any great thing in life, right? It takes practice. If you talk about, basketball, and you talk about Steph Curry, and it's like, oh man, this guy's taking 1,000 shots a day, 3-point shots a day, in addition to practice, you know what I'm saying? Or however many he takes. If you talk about, track runners and how they're running, countless hours, even when they're not in season, to just make that transition into the season be better. Think about having kids as if you are raising yourself to a certain degree. you really can't raise yourself, but let's say you were to raise yourself. What practice would you give? Like, and I know most people, what the tendency is to look at their parents and say, my parents did this, this, and this. I want to be just like them. Or my parents did this, this, and this. I don't want to ever be anything like them. And so there's this kind of chasm between, how our parents raised us and who we want to be. And then what we don't realize is in regular real life, there are many challenges. And so sometimes our parents raised us off of their past traumas and their past hurts and past pains. And that kind of authoritative parent is working to manage between those, right? And not put that all on their kid. But at the same time, help their kid understand that, look, I went through some things, you're probably going to go through some things too. And so how can we best prepare you for that environment? I think the other challenge of, raising kids is even if somebody gave you this wonderful manual on raising kids, it's going to be dated and old. As soon as you get it, it's like, okay, now there's Roblox, and now there's TikTok, and now there's kiddie porn on YouTube children, or YouTube kids. And you're like, what in the world is going on? And it's very sad because now there's almost a right that people think that they have to other people's kids, and society has to other people's kids. And this is one thing I've learned in life. If anybody or anything has power over you, it's because you gave it to them. And when we talk about like raising kids and the challenges with raising kids and the challenge of being that authoritative parent is like, one of the key things is don't give over power to your children, right? And what do I mean by that? Not you give it over, but by allowing all of these things into their life without having some mechanisms of control. You know what I mean? We just got back from a trip, and it was just really interesting that, on the trip there were things that to me, I'm thinking they should be no-brainers, but because of the influence I've had in my kids' lives, I mean, yeah, they're both 5 now, but everything was daddy, can we? Daddy, can we? Daddy, can we? And they're asking permission to do things that we assumed, or I assumed that they should just be like, okay, cool. So we took them to the lake, and I'm thinking, okay, we put their shorts on and we got their shoes on, their little shoes on, the water shoes. And we're like, we're thinking like it's a no-brainer. You got your shoes on, you got your swim trunks on, you're going to jump in the water. It's like, Daddy, can we get in the water? And it's like, of course you can. That's why we brought you, to have fun and enjoy yourself.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. Thanks so much for listening to LYS. I just wanted to take a quick moment to talk to the parents. That's right, mom and dad. Parents, prepare your child for their best educational fit after high school with our comprehensive LYS Parents Guidebook. Our helpful guide includes a range of activities designed to help you better understand your child's unique gifts and abilities. Additionally, we provide valuable insights into the student loan debt crisis and offer practical tips on how to avoid accumulating large amounts of debt. Our ebook also includes a wealth of information on scholarships, grants, and payment exemptions that can help guide your child towards a bright and successful future. With our expert guidance, you can rest assured that your child is well prepared to make informed decisions about their education and career path. Don't let your child's future be in jeopardy. Invest in their future today by downloading the LYS Parents Guidebook. Simply go to lys.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to the show, because it's some good topics.
And so I think that there's that fine line of allowing permission of too many things into your kid's life. And as a parent, you just need to be very, very mindful. Why? Because I think at the end of the day, I would much rather have my child looking for permission and building confidence that, hey, I'm doing the right things, than just having the child that's out there doing all things. Now, don't get me wrong. When they get older, I do want them to feel that they have command of what is right and what is wrong, and what is the thing to do and things like that. But right now, it's best that they look to me. And I think that's the thing that a lot of parents don't understand nowadays is that it's best that they look to you versus society. because the real issue with this, and I'll end with this, is that in the final analysis, you are going to have to deal with the consequences. People can say whatever they want to say about, oh, kids make me happy and blah, 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 and, the happiness of your child and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to deal with the consequences. And there's a saying that says, if you raised your kids well, right? If you raised your kids well, then you won't have to raise your grandchildren. But anyway, so that's my little soapbox. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's get into the last portion, or the last parenting style, which is the authoritarian or disciplinarian. In LYS, we usually describe this parenting style as you will become a blank, insert career type here. So you will become a doctor, or else you will become an engineer, or else you will become a lawyer, or else, kind of thing. And so I want to talk about some of the things that can lead to becoming an authoritarian parent. First off, we have experience with authoritarian parenting. So individuals who grew up in a strict household with rigid rules and expectations may unconsciously fall back on the same methods when raising their own children, replicating the only parenting style they have known. And I think when I saw the word unconsciously, I think this kind of goes back to all the parenting styles that we saw to a certain extent. I think we are going to have some outer shell, some form of our parenting style from our parents. We're going to take some habit, some form of that, right? It's going to play a part when we become a parent. And I think that goes from the social aspect also of LYS, of when you talk about your identity, and you get we tend to get our immediate identity from our parents, right? Which is why whenever you hang out with your friends, and if your friends know your parents, you can easily do a quick impersonation of them, right? You see them every day for the first, 18 years of your life, so I think we are going to take some mold of that with us. Next, we have emphasis on obedience and respect for authority. Parents who prioritize unquestioning obedience and respect for authority figures, including themselves, might unintentionally adopt a strict and controlling approach to discipline. And so I thought this was powerful, because I saw the word unquestioning. And I initially thought about what you said, Festus, with the boys going to the beach, right? Getting into the water. And I thought about how we were raised. We were raised in the Yoruba culture, that's in Nigeria. And I think the number one rule I remembered as a kid was just respect for your elders. It really did feel like it was unquestioning. It didn't matter. If they were an adult, you gave them whatever they said, right? It was like you had to do it. And I remember, I remember a couple times when I got older, I guess it's just because of who I was, I would say things in a tone that came across as disrespectful to a couple of adults. And my dad used to get on me really, really bad, how dare you talk to that person like that? Do you know who this person is? Da 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 kind of thing. And I meant no, and it'd be one thing if I meant disrespect by it, but I honestly hadn't meant no disrespect. I'm as they say, you're your father's son. So sometimes I just be talking, just be going. And how dare you talk to that person like that? And so I think about just being a parent in today's age, and I think one of the things that can hurt a kid is kids aren't taught to question authority respectfully to a certain extent. And I think that kind of stops them from starting the ability to think critically. And
talk about it.
Yeah. I think a lot about your oldest son, Festus. I love kids, and so just the ability to talk with him and see how he sees the world. So sometimes when I talk with him, I'm like, if this was me, I would have got chewed out, but I would have got reamed. But it's like I see the importance of children being able to speak and question the world around them so they can get a better understanding of it. And this is how kids really start to take ownership, right? As it go back to the beach story, right? This is how they start to take ownership of their world. And we're just an understanding of the world around them, let me say. And so I'm just thankful for the growth that comes in that. Even in teaching kids, there's a happy balance with that. I'm sure Crawford can speak to that. It's like, you're going to respect me. Like, even to my last year of teaching, I told the kids, you're going to call me yes, sir. And if you said yeah or whatever, I would say, huh? And they would say, oh, yes, sir. But that was just because there has to be a certain level. That was the expectation, right? As a fifth grade teacher, ain't no way no fifth grade is gonna fifth or sixth grade is gonna run me. This is not gonna happen, right? But I will respect you. I will be friendly with you. If you have a problem, I will always be there for you. And so it's okay with having that level of respect for an authority figure. And I also hope that my actions led you to believe that I was a person that was worthy of that. And so, I just, that's what came to my mind when I thought about the emphasis of obedience and respect for authority.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay once again. These days, many families are busy, but want personalized attention. We at Laddering Your Success understand this dilemma and have created a unique approach to help guide you and your child with personal development tools to build a life of purpose. This intimate approach is helpful for those parents that feel the need to have a focused heart-to-heart conversation deciding on the next steps after high school. We provide individual post-secondary planning, virtual customized college and career counseling, and scholarship guidance and planning. Our one-on-one sessions are tailored to each individual student to maximize their potential in the post-secondary realm. With our guidance, your child will be able to make their dreams a reality. Don't wait. Simply go to LYS.com/parents to get your copy today. Now let's get back to business on this podcast.
I'll open it up for you guys. You guys had something you want to drop in there? Nope.
For me, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go first.
For me, it was something that we was talking about earlier when you guys, part of the things that he was saying was, as a parent, being a lifelong learner. I feel like that is definitely key, because due to what Festus, some of the things Festus was touching on, in the sense of, as times change, the challenges that our kiddos face evolve as well. And so us as parents, we have to be open-minded and listen to them to kind of understand the different challenges that they are going through, so that we can look for resources to be able to guide them through that, because their challenges, although, we all face challenges, it changes with the times. Like Festus kind of gave some examples with TikTok and things of that nature. We didn't have to deal with those types of things growing up. There was other different challenges. So I think that being a lifelong learner is definitely key. That's basically what I want to kind of like touch on earlier.
And my apologies real quick before you go, Festus. I did not get a chance to introduce that guy, the man from the upper room, the man upstairs, not that far upstairs, but he's just, he's on the third floor. We're on the second floor, he's on the third floor. Daniel Clayton Hill, how you doing there, good sir?
Good. And also, I wasn't going to speak until you did that, so I'm good. Hey, y'all boys all doing good?
Oh, man. You know what? We are, I'll put it to you this way. We on camera, we on edge of steps, doing great, man. Hit you with that Dave Ramsey, doing better than I deserve. Go ahead, Festus.
No, I think this is just a phenomenal conversation about parenting and just different parenting styles. And so I think the big thing, especially the authoritarian parent, I understand the desire to keep your kids out of trouble, to keep your kids in line, to make sure that they're doing the right thing. But one thing that I always try to think about is, are they doing it simply out of fear, out of fear of you? Are they doing it out of fear of the consequence that can happen? Because there's a lot of times we could train children to look for what they fear instead of look at possibilities and opportunities. You know what I mean? And so what what some kids do, and you see this in adult lives, is they won't go out and try to spread their wings because they're so afraid, right? And so that's the thing that's been hard on me, is like, again, having the values that I was raised with, understanding a lot of those values, but also trying to understand the world that they grow up in. They're going to grow up in quite a different world than I ever grew up in. Like I was talking with my wife about this, is, we're gone, so family members are doing video calls for their birthday, right? And it's like, it's crazy, because if somebody would have told me 20 years ago, you'd have got a video call, I'm thinking it's Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is, yeah, you know what I mean? Great Scott, but yeah, I'm that's just the way it is. And now it's like, no, video call is the norm. You know what I mean? And then, when you think about that and you take it a step further, and it's like pretty soon holographs are going to be there. I mean, somebody's going to be able to, from their phone, just like produce a holograph, and it's going to be cheap. It's not even going to be like, oh man, this is something you're paying $1 million for. I mean, think about it. Right now, we're Zooming for practically for free. You're just trading data in order to Zoom. So, I think these are the things that we really have to understand as authoritarian parents, or those who practice that style of parenting, is that, okay, are we being fear-led, or are we really teaching our kids opportunities, risk, the potential benefits of doing certain things versus doing other things, so that it really clicks for them? And that's the thing, it's funny, because I love watching the two of my kids just kind of talk, and it'll be like, oh man, now this conversation is like next level, you know what I'm saying? For 5-year-olds anyway. So, but yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Absolutely, man. So let's keep it going. The next thing we're going to talk about is, and we're talking about how authorities become authoritarian parents. So the next thing is emphasis on obedience and, we already did that. Next one is belief in traditional family values and structures. Some parents may hold strong beliefs in traditional family structures, where the parental role involves imposing control and expecting unquestioning obedience, once again, potentially leading to an authoritarian parenting style. And so I had a little note here, because I thought that was funny, that the key things I highlighted were imposing control and expecting unquestioning obedience. And I thought about when you watch a football game or a sports game, so that could be basketball, soccer, hockey, baseball, whatever, right? You know who the coach is because of their competence, because of their confidence, because of the knowledge, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought about my parents' favorite word to use for me when I was growing up. They use that one quite a bit. Yeah, definitely. But their favorite word was go. Their favorite word was go, because I would always say, I want to go do this. I want to go touch the stove. Go and touch it. Go and touch the stove. See what will happen. So you go touch the stove, you burn yourself, you come back crying, you see, what did you learn? Right. And so for a while, that was their favorite word, was just go and see what will happen. Right. And it was almost like they were saying, like, let the world be your teacher. Let just go out. So it was almost like controlled, right? It was like, we'll show you where to go, but for a while, you're gonna go do some things. You want to go jump in the deep end? Go ahead. We got a poll here just in case you struggle a little bit. And so I thought about that imposing control, and sometimes, yes, they use it to let it be your teacher. Let it be your teacher. But we knew we had to learn from them. And so the reason why I said it is because a lot of times your parents will do that. They'll tell you to go, but there's this feeling that you get where it's like, I may go, but I know I need to come back because I've got something. You feel this yearning to stick with your parents and to learn from your parents, right? And so I will say that some parents may use that as a weapon, They may use it as a weapon to keep their kid or their children close to them. And I do believe that there are some dangers in doing that, right? When you take that responsibility as a parent and you weaponize some things emotionally, and I think that can lead to emotional issues, and how it deals with your relationships after or outside of child rearing up leading into adulthood. You guys have anything you wanted to, any thoughts, questions about that? That was belief in traditional family values and structures.
I think, and maybe you could cite that source next time, but a lot of times people use this word traditional and carry it with a negative connotation, right? This is one thing I really don't like about America right now. And when I say America, I don't mean the country, I mean the citizens of America. You're right, I love America, the country, but the citizens of America, especially the intellectual citizens of America. Right now, what's happening is a lot of people are taking one or two aspects of a culture and trying to bring that in a sense of trying to, I guess, add some kind of quote unquote liberalism, liberty, whatever. And so it kind of sounds like this. It kind of sounds like not all cultures believe in traditional marriage. And what they'll do is they'll kind of use that word traditional as a bad word. And then they will try to bring in some very small skew culture somewhere else. Well, there's a culture in China that believes that marriage is between a woman and a tree, and so they'll just throw that in there as if that little minuscule culture is doing something so significant and so transformative that this is something that everybody should be practicing, right? And why do I say that? Because I think what's happened now is because people aren't actually doing legitimate real research into what marriage is and into what family is. You get these headlines about, what is considered tradition. And for some reason, it's just bad. It comes off as a negative connotation. And so, when you tie that in with authoritarian parenting, right, which we know authoritarian parenting could be bad, right? Especially the reason being is oftentimes authoritarian parenting is, it can almost look abusive, right? Authoritarian parenting does not equate to abuse automatically, right? That's number one. Number two, even though it could look abusive, that doesn't mean it should be abusive. We just understand that basically, and there's other words that can be used synonymous with authoritarian parenting. It could be sheltering your kids too much, right? It could be being overprotective. It could be being a helicopter mom or dad. It could be, there's these different aspects to what authoritarian parenting could look like that don't necessarily mean abuse, but that also are not as productive in terms of the child's whole development, right? Your child's whole development. And so when you look at these things, you got to really start looking at it and being like, okay, well, what aspects of traditional are good and what aspects are bad? Again, and I'm just referencing these things because we just went on vacation and we were talking and we're talking about our parents' friends and how, my wife still knows her parents' friends, and they were going out this week and stuff. And she was like, yeah, I remember such and such used to babysit me. I remember when such and such used to pick me up from school when my parents were running late, or they would tell me to go to such and such's house. And she was like, you just can't do that anymore. I was like, why not? She's like, because, times have changed. I said, no, people have changed. People are not doing what they used to do. The clock has not done anything. Technology has changed. But the thing is, it's how we're using technology. Now you have the advantage of being like, hey, go to such and such's house and monitoring where your child is through their phone. You couldn't do that 20 years ago. You couldn't do that 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And so these are things that we should take to our advantage and still build community. But I think that's the thing is like, now the community is being disrupted. And a lot of community is actually built through traditional means. Having people come over for dinner. So that's a traditional thing. You know what I'm saying? In modern society, having somebody come over for dinner, no, we go out to eat, we go out for drinks. with the happy hour. You see what I'm saying? This so when we look at and we say, tradition is this bad thing, right? We really need to start examining, no. What aspects? And this is a word I don't like to use. I don't even like the whole thing. But we have to really deconstruct, right? What we mean by traditionalism. But anyway, that's my little soapbox. So.
No, that's such a good point. That is such a good point. I didn't even think about that because as I was saying it, I was like, yeah, traditional. Everybody knows what traditional is. But like you said, traditional is different things to different people. And I think there is a tradition that my brain is crazy. There is a tradition that here historically in America that we kind of there's certain values that we kind of follow. But as we're always changing and as new ideas and thoughts are coming in, like you said, that can be different depending on where you are, who you're talking to. So I totally understand that. Hill, Crawford, y'all have anything y'all wanted to drop in on that?
Oh, shoot. I was just tripping off of, that's right. People don't, it is like people do go out a lot. And he said something earlier I was going to add to when he was talking about the hologram stuff. I think he said something about eventually, bro, they already did it, man. This man created something where you can walk into a cubicle and you can do business or do whatever you want over here in California, but there's a live version of him over in like North Carolina.
Hey, LYS fam, it's Olay. If there's one thing I love, it's something free. I'm talking free 99, un gratis. No shipping or handling fees, no gotcha fees, nothing like that. With that being said, if you're graduating soon or thinking about college or need a nudge or help to decide, then our free ebook, 10 Things to Think About Before Going to College, has a very balanced and open-minded way of presenting your next steps. It captures broad topics in a personal way by giving students an insightful, interactive, and reflective source of inspiration. It is very beneficial to be able to visualize some of the concepts after high school and apply them directly to you. We all know life, college, and career planning decision-making choices for students can be challenging, especially as they near the completion of high school. This book will provide you with a self-paced guide to your success beyond academics and into real life. Not only is it free, you can complete this book within a week. This will definitely prepare you for long-term success. To get your free copy, simply go to lys.com/students. I mentioned it was free, right? Well, if I didn't, it's free. Like, for real. Okay, back to the podcast.
So eventually that's going to be in the house. It was showing, it was like, bro, I was like, this is crazy. Like, you don't even have to go there. So picture like Christmases. People not going to be there. People are going to be there virtually talking about, hey, cuz, I mean, cut that dude off. If he can't make it, he can't make it.
But no, it's funny that you say that because I have seen, I don't know if you've seen the one where the woman had the holograph husband.
Was this a skit or?
No, this is real life.
But is the husband like he's real, right?
He's a holograph. He's like an AI holograph. So basically, I guess you put in the qualities and stuff she wanted, and it was like a holograph. But I had to shoot y'all the video later. But they're sitting on the couch, and she's talking about dinner, and he's eating, and they're watching TV, and she's like, "I put pepper in it." He's like, "That's what that is." It's like, what in the world? But it's sad because again, and I don't even want to get into this because I could go on this all day. Is that people are starting to create the world that they want, that is the perfect world for them, and oftentimes it's because they can't deal with reality. But I don't want to go into that. But no, I feel you, bro. That's what I'm saying. It's just no, I was gonna say the holographs are just gonna be cheaper in a few. We're gonna be able. We're not gonna have to have the cubicle. It's gonna just be like, oh, point your phone at this thing, and it's gonna project the light, and the image is gonna. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be crazy. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine.
Yeah, totally. So let's go into because we want to wrap this up this week or today. Let's go into personality traits and personal challenges of the authoritarian parent. So a lot of times, authoritarian personalities, individuals with an inherent need for control and order, might be more likely to adopt an authoritarian parenting style, seeking to maintain a tightly controlled environment. Definitely see that, right? Like, that's the parent that's like super strict with the schedule. You got the kids got to be out of bed, 5:59 a.m. sharp. I can totally see that. low tolerance for frustration. So parents who have difficulty coping with their children's emotions or challenging behavior may resort to strict control and harsh punishments to maintain order and avoid frustration. Right. And of course, you have the one that I highlighted, which is anxiety about child safety or well-being. Festus, you kind of hit on this twice, actually. Parents experiencing significant anxiety about their children's well-being, safety, or success might unintentionally adopt a stricter approach, believing it's necessary to keep them on a safe path, right? And so my question for everyone is, in today's world, are these feelings correct? What is so different from when we grew up to today in those regards? And so I know Festus mentioned the fact that the times really aren't that different. It's the people that are different. But I want to get everyone's opinion on this, but are those feelings correct? Do y'all think that, parents experiencing significant anxiety about their children's well-being, about their safety, about their success, sometimes can you unintentionally adopt a stricter approach to make sure that your kids are more safe, to make sure that their well-being is intact, to make sure that they are on the right path to whatever you deem or they deem to be successful?
I was gonna say, man, it depends on if both parents are strict. Too, that's another thing. Cause we was out last night, bro, me and Blake, and the mom was stricter, and the dad wasn't. But the dad was strict. It was weird, bro. He was correcting the mother for being strict in public. So I was like, bro, this is weird. Me and Blake like, this is weird. So it's like the mom's trying to teach the kid, hey, Sam, do this. He's like, no. Sometimes you gotta let him go. Wait. He said, you're so woo, this. I'm like, bro, she just really, in my mind, like, bro, she's just really being a mom, like, so it depends, because if you have two parents and the dad, he was more controlling, I guess, but he wasn't controlling of teaching his kid what's right. He was more controlling of letting his kid do whatever he wants. So I guess it depends. You talking about like being controlling, like in a relationship, like that, or you talking about just trying to do everything order like that? Is that what you talking about? Just order, like everything in order?
Well, yeah, a little bit of both. I mean, but you kind of hit the nail on the head. I mean, in a way, because you have one parent who is trying to be a certain way about it, and then you have a parent who's kind of doing the opposite, or not necessarily on the same page with the parent. So I'm sure that can usually, that's the funny thing about kids. Kids will take that direction, but then when they see that they hear an opposing voice from another authority figure, I'm sure that can lead to some confusion at an early age. And so I'm sure, especially a lot of in today's age, I think kids build that anxiety a lot quicker, right? Because it's like, I'm getting a message here. I'm getting a different message here from my other authority figure. I don't know what to do. What do I, you know what I mean? So that's a really good point there.
I think that's why it's important in the example like Hill or Daniel gave, to where both parents, as best as possible, try to be on the same page, where they take, because we all bring our different perspectives based on our unique experiences in life, and they come together and they lay these things out on the table and through communication, even though with these different perspectives, but they can try to find what may be the best path for them as a family unit, so that way that can limit the confusion amongst the child, and also limit the putting mommy versus daddy situations there, because the child will see that there's a united front between the two of them, even though the two parents might personally disagree with certain things. But it's definitely important to have that cohesiveness when it comes to raising the children. And then going back to the initial question, with when you were addressing, the anxiety of raising the kids and wanting them to be, good citizens and things of that nature, I can see that being possible, because I know said times don't change, people change. But I think a factor that is out of our control, are the things, the different innovations that come up via technology and other things. And so it's really us learning on the whim. So I can see from a parent's perspective that anxiety of certain things, again, like Festus brought up earlier with social media and things of that nature. When I think all four of us, social media became a thing when we were already mature. Well, I don't want to say mature in the mindset, but of a certain age, right? And so that's new territory for Festus, since he's the ones who have children. That's new territory. So now he has to be the first of his family to kind of navigate that realm. Okay, children dealing with social media, how am I going to deal with that when they get to the age or whatever? So that's new territory for him. So I can understand if he's like, you know, talking to his significant other, his wife, his spouse, to kind of figure out how they want to do that together. And then that's the only factors that they can control within their household, because when their children, if their children go out to public school, private school, however that is, they're under the influence of their friends who have access to social media and other types of things. So that's only certain things they have within control, which I think it goes back to the main point of this, the type of parenting where we invest in the human being of the child so that they're raised to be secure, so they don't succumb to the pressures of outside influences that, you know, the parents have no control of. I know that was a mouthful, so sorry about that.
I think you were spot on, man. And I think I definitely agree with you. This is where both, and this, again, using that illustration that Daniel gave, both parents are key. Why? Because I think the thing is, it at least demonstrates in the house the different approaches. Now, to me, and this is the thing that we got to think about. Some people can be great parents and bad spouses. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. Some people could be good spouses and horrible parents. And so the thing is, there has to be a way of working to keep things intact, because I think for kids, and you're right, Olay, that could become confusing to them. But by that constant persistence, if the kids don't, which I've seen this in almost every kid, when I could get away with X, Y, Z with this person, I can't get away. Okay, well then I'm gonna just pit them against each other, see how I can, so because kids are manipulative. But that's a whole nother thing. But the thing is, I definitely agree with that. Hey, as parents, seeing both sides of things is very, very key for kids, because that starts to alert them and awaken in them. There are different perspectives on how to handle things. Now, again, I hope for that couple that, it's not causing too much trauma, because I'm a big believer is not to publicly correct in front of others. You know what I'm saying? I think you should let's talk about this real quick. Okay, boom. Now we're back to it. And also, I'm a big believer for your kids, because then when your kids, okay, there's a crack between mom and dad, we can see how we could, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's that.
Awesome. Very true. Got two more things I want us to go over. I'm going to go over what we're going to do last. So what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to start thinking, what are the 5 qualities every parent should have in 2024? What are the 5 qualities you think every parent should have in 2024? While you're thinking about that, I'm going to be going over external influences and circumstances that affect authoritarian parents. First one, cultural norms and expectations. Some cultures or communities might have social norms that emphasize strict and authoritative parenting, which can influence individuals' approaches despite their personal values. Matt, this is kind of related to that. I remember one time I was selling these chocolates for school, and there was this particular rule that you had to follow. It was something where, like, they gave us a sample. They gave us a sample for the chocolate. And I was at church and I was selling it to the people at church. And my mom was trying to tell me that I had to give them the chocolate. And I was like, no, Mom, this is the sample. This is the sample. And my mom, I said, give it to them. Like, with the quickness, boy. And I was just like, just bawling. And I'm like, this is what it was. But, it's just like, it's an authority thing. It's like, I told you this is what it was. And my mom was so bad. It took my mom so long to apologize when she made a mistake. I think that's a lot of people's moms. Like, she make a mistake and I get beat, and she turn around and she be like, "Oh, okay, all right, okay. You want something to eat?" Like, I don't know if you think about that. But either way, next, we're talking about external influences and circumstances. Influence of social media or media portrayals. Media portrayals glorifying strict or tough love approaches can at times and intentionally create unrealistic expectations and influence some parents towards adopting a more authoritarian style. I think that's a huge issue because you want to talk about a moral compass of what guides you. If you're letting things in your external environment, like social media and TV, affect you when it comes to like parenting, I think that's a bad recipe, right? It's not going to lead to, it's just not going to lead to a lot of success. And then lastly, limited exposure to positive parenting alternatives. So parents lacking access to information or resources about positive parenting methods might unknowingly resort to harsher and more authoritarian approaches due to a lack of awareness of other options. Now, in this regard, I do think that it could lead to more authoritarian, and it could also lean the other way to more really liberal or just really loose parenting approaches or styles. And so I think, you know, that's where your community, that's where your school district, that's where, you know, your city, your county, all these different things come in, and different workshops and things that they have, LYS, that's where all these things kind of come in. And so real quick, I just wanted to talk about, I don't know if it's a big, actually, we don't have that much time. Go ahead. What are your five most important things, qualities every parent should have in 2024? Whoever wants to go in can start.
I have patience, understanding, attentiveness, empathy, and proactiveness.
Good. Awesome. Next.
Man, I'm gonna bite that proactiveness off of Jamar. I'm gonna bite that proactiveness, but I think, you know, the values that LYS espouses, you know, is humility, discipline, and integrity, because I think those are just so essential to learning. So proactiveness, humility, discipline, and integrity. And then I would throw in communication. I think that's the big key, is like communicate to really understand. I think there's a huge lack and gap of understanding now. So those would be my five.
Right. Hill?
Man, ain't nothing left. Hey, man, the only thing I would say is add faith, man. Add the Lord in there. Man, they gotta have that act for their life. But yeah, everything else, man, them boys got it. All them doctors over there, man, ain't got nothing left, man.
So I made my list before we started. My five were transparency / honesty, let's say that, discipline, knowledge, empathy. And so I had honesty there as two, but we'll put transparency and honesty there together. So awesome stuff. That was parenting styles, and how does our life affect our parenting style? So for Jamar Crawford, for Daniel Hill, I am Olay Sharonki. Thank you as always for joining us and engaging with us, whether it be on social media, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, so much for your continued support. This has been another episode of Edge Steps, powered by Laddering Your Success. Festus, go ahead and give them the phrase it pays.
Yes, the next week we're going to be live in person at the Set Institute here in West Houston. Right. So listen, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no legitimate excuse for not getting an education, and we are out.
Oh, you still there? Well, thank you so much for listening to the LYS Podcast.